Some albums are misunderstood and receive intense scrutiny, especially when they stray from the artist's previous works and not meet the fans' expectations. In this video, we look at 8 albums that get too much hate. Witness by Katy Perry. Released in 2017, Witness marked a significant shift from Katy Perry's signature bubblegum pop sound to a more political and experimental approach. However, many fans and critics were receptive to this change in tone, with reviews often describing the album as disjointed or lacking Katy's usual spark. Singles like Bon Appetit and Swish Swish received mixed feedback when they were released, with Swish Swish sparking additional controversy due to its alleged references to her beef with Taylor Swift. Her performance of Bon Appetit on SNL also brought negative attention because it was cringe. It was also hated by the critics, scoring 53 out of 100 on Metacritic. Commercially, it did decent, debuting at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 180,000 units in its first week. Witness was ambitious, blending electropop with touches of deep house and exploring themes of liberation and self-awareness. Katy attempted to move beyond the carefree, high-energy hits of Teenage Dream and Prison, embracing a more introspective side. While it may not have packed the same punch as her earlier work, it was a good effort by Katy to evolve as an artist, but it got a lot of hate, making it a misunderstood gem to this day. ARTPOP by Lady Gaga. When ARTPOP dropped in 2013, it was supposed to be Gaga's new successful era, but instead of unanimous acclaim, it faced mixed and negative reviews. Critics were confused by its chaotic energy, calling it overly ambitious and incoherent, scoring 61 out of 100 on Metacritic, while some fans longed for the simpler, catchier hooks of the Fame and Born This Way. The album also struggled commercially compared to her previous albums, as it debuted on number 1 on the Billboard 200, with 258,000 units, which was a dip, coming off Born This Way, which sold more than 1 million copies in its first week. And Gaga herself later admitted certain aspects of ARTPOP's rollout hadn't gone as planned. The album's unapologetic celebration of artistic freedom now feels ahead of its time. Songs like GUI and Venus showcase Gaga's knack for making pop music with a twist, while Do What You Want, featuring R. Kelly, though it was controversial, had a sultry R&B vibe that expanded her sound. ARTPOP is Gaga at her most unfiltered and experimental. While it may have been too left field for some, it has since gained a cult following. It got a lot of hate when it was released, but today, public perception has somewhat changed. Britney Jean by Britney Spears. Promoted as Britney's most personal album to date when it was released, Britney Jean aimed to show fans a more vulnerable side of the pop star. Unfortunately, it was met with criticism for lacking the rawness it promised and being overproduced. Many fans were disappointed, noting that Britney's vocal presence on some tracks felt minimal, possibly due to issues with production. The album's lead single, Work Bitch, was a catchy club anthem, but the other tracks failed to make a significant impact. It also sold way lower than expected, as it debuted on number 4, selling 107,000 units in its first week. It also had a bad reception from critics, scoring 50 out of 100 on Metacritic. While Britney Jean may not have been a perfect album, it still holds some undeniable highlights, including the mid-tempo ballad Perfume. Other tracks like Alien and Till It's Gone have emotional depth and showcase some of Britney's signature vulnerability within the electropop theme. The album was a period of transition for her, both professionally and personally, and in the broader context of her career, it serves as a testament to her resilience. It would have gone down better if it was promoted differently. The album has a lot of bops on it, and I think it's overhated. Queen by Nicki Minaj. Released in 2018, Queen was Nicki Minaj's highly anticipated return after a 4-year hiatus, but it arrived at a time when Nicki was in competition in public drama. The album was coming off her beef with Remy Ma, and it was overshadowed by her feud with Travis Scott over chart positions, and the Cardi beef was also brewing. It also came at a time when the Nicki hate train was rolling. Many critics called the album unfocused, as the 19-song track list felt too long. Songs like Barbie Dreams, a playful roast of several male rappers, drew mixed reactions, while other songs received criticism for lacking that it factor. The album also had disappointing sales, debuting on number 2 behind Astroworld, selling 185,000 units in its first week. In reality, Queen contains some of Nicki's best rapping performances. Songs like Ganja Burn and Hard White were absolute bangers. Chun-Li also became an anthem, showcasing her wordplay and solidifying her role as a force to be reckoned with in hip-hop. The album was ambitious, and while it may not have universally resonated at first, it showed Nicki's growth as an artist, and many fans are revisiting it these days. Over time, it has gained respect, even though it was very hated when it was initially released. Glitter by Mariah Carey. Released in 2001, Glitter was meant to be Mariah Carey's triumphant soundtrack to her film venture, combining 80s nostalgia with her powerful vocals. Unfortunately, the album hit the shelves in the shadow of multiple controversies, ranging from her highly publicized personal struggle to the film's poor reception, as it was classified as one of the worst movies to come out that year. The album, containing bops like Loverboy and sultry ballads like Never Too Far, became collateral damage in an unfortunate media storm. The album debuted on number 7 on the Billboard 200 with first week sales of 116,000 copies, which was very low at the time considering it's Mariah. Despite being criticized initially for its dated production, Glitter has undergone a reappraisal over the years. It has gotten a new lease on life, with its tribute to the 80s R&B scene becoming popular as time goes on. For fans, the album now stands as a cult classic, with Justice for Glitter campaigns popping up on social media as listeners rediscover this misunderstood era of Mariah's catalog. Its re-release reached the top 10 of iTunes years later, proving that it was really overhated when it was initially released. Reputation by Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's Reputation, released in 2017, was a significant pivot in her career, featuring darker, more intense themes and lyrics that lashed out at the media. After 1989, with its brightly synth-pop appeal, Reputation introduced listeners to a Taylor ready to confront her haters, complete with a change to a harder sound. Singles like Look What You Made Me Do and Ready For It did well on the charts, but critics were lukewarm on it, as it scored 71 out of 100 on Metacritic. But Reputation has found its groove with fans. Tracks like Delicate and Call It What You Want balance the album's edginess with moments of vulnerability. The album has only grown over time, as songs like Don't Blame Me and Getaway Car becoming streaming hits. The album remains pivotal, not just for pushing Taylor into a new era, but for showing her capability to reinvent herself while embracing a darker soundscape, gaining appreciation over time. It was definitely hated on too much. Madame X by Madonna. In 2019, Madame X saw Madonna diving into the world of experimental sounds and global influences, touching on genres like Latin pop and Afrobeat. The album was inspired by her time in Portugal and contains social-political commentary, but it was initially critiqued for being too ambitious and disjointed. Madonna was in her experimental bag, delivering tracks like Medellin with Maluma and Got Control, both of which using sounds she has never used before. The album debuted on number 1 on the Billboard 200, with 95,000 album equivalent units sold, which was decent. The album had lackluster reception from critics, scoring 70 out of 100 on Metacritic, while Madame X was polarizing. Fans and critics have gradually came around to view it as a bold artistic project that needs some love. It was a risk for Madonna this late into her career, but it is now a standout record in her discography. Though it did not chart as high as her previous works, Madame X has grown over time, from being hated initially. Solar Power by Lorde. Lorde's Solar Power, released in 2021, marked a drastic shift in her sound, moving away from the haunting electropop sound of her first 2 albums, Pure Heroine and Melodrama, and diving into a warm, acoustic, almost folk-inspired pop. It received mixed reactions when it was released, with critics and fans disappointed by its mellow, understated approach. The album debuted on number 5 on the Billboard 200, selling 56,000 units in its first week, which was a disappointing number. Solar Power did not chart as strongly as her previous works, and singles like the title track did not make a dent on the charts. Many listeners found the stripped-back sound a jarring refreshing departure from melodrama. However, when looking back, the album has slowly carved out its own place. It has found new life as a cult classic for those who admire Lorde's refusal to fit into the pop mold. It's a vibe, and I think it's overhated. Which albums that get too much hate did I miss? Tell me in the comments below if you want a part 2.